Alright guys, what's going on today? I want to show you what we're working on. Seeing my channel, if you guys are just coming back to it or being here, you're probably wondering what I got a water tank for, because I run everything out of a truck skid. Well, I have a job coming up where I'm going to have to bring my own water, and it was a good enough job that it was worth the investment to me to go ahead and spend the money on this and to plumb it. So between the tow and the plumbing, I'm gonna have like $100. So I don't think that's too bad a cost, because not only will I have it for this job, but if another one comes up and I need water, I'll have it. I've had a few times when I've had to soft wash a house and use a water hose because the house didn't have any running water or whatever, and so that's what we had to do. Well, this time, I'll be able to take whatever this is, 275, 300, whatever this size Tote is, I'll be able to take it 275. This is a 275. I'll be able to take it and have water. Not that I want to do that very often, but in the future, if I end up going with like a 5.5 or an 8 machine, I already have my tote ready and I already have it plumbed. All I'd have to do is change some of the fittings out. So I want to show you what I'm working with. I had one of the weird connectors here, and it had a cap that came with it, and couldn't find anything to match up with it. And I started looking at some videos, and I guess Joe Deary had the same issue with his, but I just used a cam lock. So I don't know if y'all have ever seen these before, but these are like a gator lock. So they got these little push pins in that lock in. So what most of these IBC totes are is a 2-inch thread or 2-inch fitting. So I got a 2-inch cam lock that was threaded. This is a 2-inch. This is a 2-inch slip with a 3/4 right here. Instead of running 5/8, what I'm going to run is a 3/4. It's a 1-inch diameter, but 3/4 hose to the pressure washer. Now, the way I'm going to get by with that is when I get to the job, I'm just going to set the pressure washer off to the side. That way it can gravity feed to it. And I may even set it on the trailer just to see if that'll work. I'm kind of experimenting with this. I've never done it. I like a challenge, so it isn't going to be a big deal if it works one way or if it works the other way. I always like to know what's going to work. I like being able to pull up to the job, run the hoses, pull the hoses, and go. I like having my machine here mounted in the bed. But I mean, if I gotta unhook it, I gotta unhook it. So I could have gotten by, I believe, with just putting a spout on that and running a regular water hose to this over here. But I did want to run a little bit bigger just so I could get more flow. And so instead of running a 5/8 hose, I went ahead and put 3/4 to here. And then I was talking to, or I commented on the video on Washmart, and they were saying 3/4 would be good. And so I got 3/4 barb here, and I have a 3/4 barb on this end, and I just left this one plastic just because it's already plastic. Put a little what do you call this stuff, True Blue on it. I True Blued this and then tighten that fitting on. This is threaded on this side and it's a slip on this one. Slid that in, glued it. That should hold up. Of course, you got the cutoff valve here, which works pretty good. So I'm gonna have more flow than a normal water hose and cheaper than what I could have got a water hose. So what'll happen is I have some fittings here or clamps, and I'll run it from there to there, probably the shortest distance I can. I'll push that back and run it. I'll end up setting it up to see what's the shortest I can run on it. just kind of like a trial and error type deal. What I had thought about doing is just plumbing it with 1/2-inch hose and hooking it in here to my pump, and then just pulling the water through the pump. And I know this sounds pretty crazy, but you just got to go with me. On my soft wash system, this hose here goes to my mix tank. It comes down, have a 3-way shut off. So as you can see, that valve, when it's pointed that way, it sucks from that side. When it's pointed down, it's coming in from the mix side. So this is how I rinse my this one over here is how I rinse my pump out. I put a water bucket in it or whatever, put the drop tube in, and it pulls. So whatever I have here is going to be pulling through the pump, coming out the other side. So if the gravity feed didn't work, because I've heard that you can't plumb it to a 4 gallon a minute because it won't pull, it doesn't suck, they chatter, they lose pressure. I mean, like, if you can think of it, it's like loom and doom. I've heard it. Now, that's just coming from pressure washing guys. If you get on YouTube and look, all the guys that are doing mobile detailing, it's like all of them gravity feed almost. But anyway, gravity feeding 3/4 hose from the tank, and I'll have it sitting somewhere over here, and then it's going to go on to the pressure washer. I'll see how that works. But the other option I had was I was just going to hook into this 1/2-inch hose, and like where this barb here is 3/4, I could have put a 1/2-inch on it. So I'd have just run a 1/2-inch poly braid and connected it to here, and that would have pulled water out of the tank at 5.5 gallons a minute with my pump. And then the outlet to that is on the other side of that shelf, and I would have just looped it back over and hooked it into here with the right threading, probably like a 1/2-inch to 3/4, and that would have worked fine. And I could have kept the pressure washer where it was and not had any issues with that. I would have had, I don't want to say it would have been a cleaner setup, it would have been, it looked a little janky, but I really not care about what it looks like. I'm just wondering how it works. So, you know, gravity feeding, I'm gonna try it just to see how it works. I don't know how it's gonna go. I'll have to post a video once I do it. But you know, that was my 2 options. You know, I could go to Harbor Freight and get a $80 pump, or I could just use the pump I already have. And plus, the one at Harbor Freight is continuous. It's not a diaphragm pump. So that was my option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook these hoses up, take this pressure washer off, set it down beside over here, and see how that goes. Fill this thing up. I'm probably going to fill it up halfway, probably like 2 or 3 rows, just to try it out, so I haven't given myself plenty of time to see how it's going to go. I'll even hook the surface cleaner up and make sure everything's going to be kosher, because you know, this pressure washer doesn't know if I'm hooked up to a water hose spigot from a city water hose or a well, or if I have 20 gallons or 30 gallons a minute coming out of that fitting. So that's 2 options. I'm either gravity feeding or running a pump. If you're gonna run a pump, I suggest doing it the way I did. You know, just plumb it down there at the bottom, run your 1/2-inch hose. I say 1/2-inch because my 5.5 gallon pump here is 1/2-inch. I could have hooked it here. It would have pulled from that tank right there. It would have pulled from the tank, went through the pump, which is in that box, came out the other side, and I would have had it looped in here and hooked it right up. And I don't think that would have been any issue. And I could have kept the machine where it is. You know, in a way, that almost seems like that would have been more simple instead of doing what I'm doing. But, you know, we're going to try it because I want to try to gravity feed it. If it don't gravity feed, like some people say it won't, then I'll, you know, go to plan B. So stay tuned to the next video, see if it works.